fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open,
the internet didn't just pause this time, it held its breath. Because when 50 Cent allegedly dropped explosive allegations involving private chats connected to Jay-Z and Diddy, timelines didn't know whether to laugh, panic, or refresh for updates. This wasn't a diss track moment. This wasn't a slick caption or a throwaway joke. This felt like someone pulling back a velvet curtain that was never meant to move. According to what erupted online, 50 Cent didn't confirm anything outright. He hinted. And when it comes to him, hints are louder than megaphones. Screenshots weren't even necessary for the internet to go into full meltdown mode. Comment sections turned into investigation rooms. Group chats turned into strategy meetings. And suddenly hip-hop royalty was being discussed like a leaked Netflix script. Let's be honest, when names like Jay-Z and Diddy get pulled into alleged private conversations, this isn't casual gossip. These aren't regular celebrities. These are power players. Boardroom figures? The kind of names that don't trend unless something serious is attached. And the most dangerous part? Nobody knew what was real, exaggerated, or pure provocation. But everyone knew this wasn't small. Because when 50 Cent stirs the pot, it's never by accident. It's calculated chaos with a grin. When 50 Cent allegedly dropped explosive allegations about private chats involving Jay-Z and Diddy, the internet didn't just react. It recalibrated. This wasn't a casual post people laughed at and moved on from. It landed heavy, like someone casually hinting that the walls have ears and the ceilings remember everything. Fans immediately sensed this wasn't a random jab, because when 50 Cent pokes, it's usually with purpose. The moment felt less like gossip and more like a warning wrapped in sarcasm. What made the allegation feel dangerous wasn't confirmation, because there was none. It was the implication. The idea that private conversations between two of the most powerful figures in music could be dragged into public speculation instantly changed the temperature. Screenshots weren't required for chaos to ignite. In today's internet culture, suggestion alone is enough to set a fire. 50 Cent's reputation played a major role in why people paid attention. He isn't known for whispering or hinting accidentally. His entire public persona is built on provocation, timing, and calculated disrespect delivered with a smile. So when he allegedly referenced private chats connected to Jay-Z and Diddy, fans didn't hear trolling. They heard intent. The background makes the moment even louder. Jay-Z and Diddy aren't just artists or celebrities, they're institutions. Their names represent power, influence, money, and decades of quiet decision-making behind closed doors. Seeing those names suddenly pulled into alleged private conversations felt like someone cracking open a boardroom door mid-meeting. Even without evidence, the imagery alone was enough to unsettle people. Social media moved faster than logic. Fans immediately began speculating about what kind of conversations could even exist between figures like that. Business deals, alliances, rivalries, and quiet conflicts were all thrown into the theory blender. None of it was verified, but plausibility replaced proof almost instantly. That's how rumors evolve into narratives online, the sarcasm wrote. Itself as people joke that hip-hop had officially become reality television without consent forms. Some said this was what happens when billion-dollar empires forget screenshots exist. Others compared it to a Netflix drama so unrealistic it would normally get rejected in the writer's room. The humor was sharp, but the discomfort underneath. It was obvious. What really pushed this into viral territory was the lack of immediate denial. No quick shutdown. No dismissive response. No clean PR statement shutting the whole thing down. Silence settled in, and silence online is never neutral. It invites imagination. And imagination doesn't need facts to run wild. The phrase, allegedly, became the only seatbelt holding the conversation together. Commentary channels repeated it like a mantra, not to slow the story down, but to protect themselves while escalating it. Some creators stayed cautious, framing everything as speculation. Others leaned into implication just enough to keep viewers hooked. The balance between safety and sensationalism became a tightrope. Fans immediately split into camps. Another group believed there was no way he would hint at something this serious without confidence. Both sides spoke with certainty, despite having the same amount of evidence, which was none. Online confidence has never required information. Old interviews started resurfacing like ghosts. Past jokes, captions, and sideways comments involving any of the three names were suddenly reinterpreted as foreshadowing. Clips that once meant nothing now felt suspicious. The internet began rewriting history in real time to support whatever conclusion it preferred. Context became optional. The industry angle made everything heavier. Alleged private chats between figures at that level aren't just personal, they're symbolic. People began talking less about messages and more about power. Who talks to who? Who decides what? Who really runs things behind the scenes? That shift elevated the story beyond gossip into something darker. What made the moment feel different from past internet explosions was how quickly it stopped being funny. Jokes slowed down. Reactions grew more serious. Even people who thrive on drama admitted this felt like a line being tested. When speculation starts involving influence and control, entertainment gives way to unease. 50 Cent's timing didn't go unnoticed either. Fans debated whether the alleged hint connected to broader industry tension or was simply perfectly timed chaos. The idea that nothing online happens accidentally gained traction. People assumed strategy whether it existed or not. In the internet's mind, timing equals intent. As hours passed, the story didn't evolve, it expanded. No new information surfaced, but engagement skyrocketed. The same alleged implication was reposted, reanalyzed, and recontextualized endlessly. This is the most volatile stage of any viral scandal, where momentum exists without direction. The narrative feeds on itself. Jay-Z and Diddy's continued silence became part of the story. To some, it looked like confidence, the kind that doesn't dignify rumors. To others, it looked strategic, like waiting for the noise to burn itself out. Online, silence always gets translated into whatever people already believe. The danger of moments like, this is how quickly suggestion hardens into memory. People began referencing the alleged chats as if they were already established context. Phrases like, after all that with the messages, started appearing casually. Shift quietly without confirmation ever arriving. The internet also revealed its appetite for escalation. Viewers weren't asking whether the allegation was true anymore. They were asking what would happen next. Screenshots, denials, lawsuits, or more hints became the expected sequel. Anticipation replaced investigation. By the end of this phase, the damage wasn't about truth or falsehood. It was about perception. The idea that something might exist was enough to reshape how people talked about everyone involved. That's the power of implication at scale. This moment didn't need proof to matter. It needed belief, repetition, and timing. And it had all three. Whatever the reality behind the allegation may be, the conversation had already escaped containment. And that's what made this only the beginning. Because once legends are pulled into speculation like this, the fallout doesn't arrive loudly. It settles in quietly and waits. Once the allegation narrative escaped containment, the internet didn't just discuss it, it performed it. Every timeline turned into a stage where people auditioned as insiders, analysts, and cultural historians at the same time. Reaction videos multiplied faster than common sense, each one adding dramatic pauses and confident conclusions. Nobody wanted to be late to the conversation because being late online feels like being irrelevant. And irrelevance is the one thing this story refused to allow. Memes arrived on schedule, Because humor is how people cope when speculation starts feeling dangerous. Thriller. Others said this was what happens when billion-dollar empires forget their group chats might not be sacred. The laughs were sharp, but uneasy. You could hear the tension between the punchlines. Public outrage didn't erupt all at once. It simmered and spread. Some fans accused 50 Cent of reckless escalation, saying hinting at private conversations among power players was irresponsible even by his standards. Others insisted that if he went this far, he must know something the public doesn't. The debate shifted from truth to motive, which is always easier to argue and harder to prove. Reactions complicated everything without clarifying anything. Vague posts about truth, darkness coming to light, and people playing chess floated across feeds without names attached. Fans stitched these posts into the narrative like missing puzzle pieces, even if they didn't belong there. The less specific the message, the louder the interpretation, the continued silence from. Jay-Z and Diddy became a story of its own. No quick dismissal, no polished statement, no public shutdown. That quiet felt strategic to some and suspicious to others. Online, silence doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. It gets assigned meaning by whoever's holding the microphone. As speculation intensified, people began rewriting the past in real time. Old interviews resurfaced and suddenly sounded prophetic. Offhand jokes from years ago were reframed as coded messages. Clips once ignored became evidence because they fit the mood. The internet doesn't wait for proof. It waits for patterns. The industry angle turned everything heavier and darker. Alleged private chats between figures at that level aren't just personal, they're symbolic of power moving in shadows. Fans started imagining boardroom decisions, alliances, and quiet disputes unfolding behind closed doors. None of it was verified, but plausibility became currency. When plausibility pays, speculation thrives. Commentary channels shifted tone from curiosity to inevitability. Titles grew more ominous, thumbnails darker, language more cinematic. This wasn't about updates anymore. It was about suspense. The product wasn't information, it was anticipation. Keeping viewers guessing became the goal. The algorithm rewarded escalation without hesitation. Calm voices sank while confident takes floated. Caution bored people, certainty entertained them. The most extreme interpretations rose to the top, even if they were the least grounded. That's how narratives warp online, not by lies alone, but by amplification. Fans also began choosing sides based on loyalty rather than logic. Some defended Jay-Z and Diddy as icons who wouldn't leave that kind of digital trail. Others sided with 50 Cent's reputation for not caring who he pokes. Allegiance replaced analysis. Undercurrent of unease crept into the conversation. Allegations involving private communications among powerful figures don't feel playful. They feel invasive. When entertainment turns uncomfortable, people start questioning whether they should even be watching. The alleged nature of the chats didn't slow the machine. It lubricated it. Phrases like, "if this is real," acted as permission slips for endless theories. Hypotheticals stacked on hypotheticals until they felt substantial. Fiction began dressing itself up as analysis. And the audience applauded. As the same hints, the same jokes, the same arguments recycled endlessly. No new information appeared, but engagement stayed high. This is the most unstable phase of a viral scandal, momentum without direction. It feeds on itself. People stopped asking whether anything would surface and started asking when. Screenshots, denials, lawsuits, or another hint became the expected. Sequel. Anticipation replaced investigation. The audience wasn't just watching. A symbol of hidden power, private influence, and secrets waiting to spill. Whether anything actually existed almost didn't matter. The idea alone had reshaped the conversation. The psychological shift was unmistakable. Fans began reading future posts, interviews, and silences through this lens. Every move felt loaded. That's how reputational gravity works once speculation reaches critical mass. The lens doesn't come off easily. As the noise peaked, it was clear the story had outgrown its origin. This wasn't about a hint anymore. It was about what hints do to trust, perception, and legacy. The fallout was already forming, even without confirmation. By the time the speculation slowed from a roar to a low hum, The real damage had already set in, and that's always the most dangerous stage. This is when stories stop trending and start sticking. People weren't arguing about whether the alleged chats were real anymore. They were talking as if their existence was already part of the cultural record. Memory online doesn't wait for confirmation. It just needs repetition. And repetition had already done its job. Jay-Z and Diddy's names. Interviews were rewatched with suspicion, jokes felt heavier, and silence suddenly sounded loud. Even completely unrelated headlines sparked side comments referencing those alleged chats. That's how implication works at scale. It seeps into perception without ever proving itself. Once that happens, reputations don't reset easily. 50 Cent didn't escape the fallout either, despite being the one who allegedly lit the fuse. Critics accused him of weaponizing ambiguity, knowing exactly how much chaos a hint like that would cause. Supporters argued he was simply doing what he's always done, refusing to protect industry mystique. The debate around him shifted from entertainment to responsibility. When shock value crosses into power territory, people start asking different questions. What made the aftermath uncomfortable was how normalized the speculation became. Casual jokes about group chats and private messages started popping up everywhere, as if the alleged situation was already accepted lore. That's how rumors evolve into mythology, not with proof, but with comfort. The more people repeat something casually, the more real it feels. Eventually, disbelief just gets tired. The industry conversation changed tone almost immediately. Happens behind closed doors. The alleged chats became a symbol of everything people already suspected about elite circles. Whether fair or not, the narrative tapped into a deeper distrust that was already there. That's why it landed so hard. Silence from Jay-Z and Diddy continued to be interpreted in every possible direction. Some called it confidence, the kind that doesn't bother swatting at rumors. Others said it was strategy, letting the noise burn itself out naturally. And the most suspicious voices treated silence as avoidance. Online, silence never gets the benefit of the doubt. It gets assigned meaning. Commentary channels adjusted their framing without announcing it. The story shifted from what was hinted to what this says about power. Even without evidence, the conversation matured into something darker and more abstract. People weren't asking for screenshots anymore. They were asking who really controls narratives. That shift made the story harder to dismiss. Waiting for denials, lawsuits, more hints, or some kind of escalation. The audience became spectators to a situation that felt bigger than drama. When people start anticipating consequences, instead of punchlines, the line has already been crossed. Reputational gravity began doing its work. Every future move from everyone involved felt heavier because of what people believed might exist behind the scenes. Even if nothing ever surfaced, the question mark remained. And question marks are powerful because they invite imagination to fill the gaps. This moment also exposed how easily the internet blurs entertainment with consequence. Alleged private communications among powerful figures were treated like content, reacted to like memes, and recycled like jokes. The seriousness of what was being implied got diluted by repetition. The jokes didn't land the same anymore. The idea of private conversations being dragged into public speculation started to feel invasive. That shift from amusement to unease is usually the sign that a story has gone too far. Suspicion doesn't trend, but it lingers. It changes how future stories are read, how motives are questioned, and how silence is interpreted. Even if the alleged chats never surface, the belief that something might exist has already reshaped perception. Belief does the heavy lifting online. As weeks pass, this moment will likely be referenced casually, without explanation. After all that with the alleged chats, people will say, as if everyone already knows. That's how internet history gets written, not with evidence, but with consensus. Once consensus forms, reputations become when implication outpaces truth. In the digital age, reality doesn't need to win, it just needs to compete. This wasn't an ending, it was a pause. And in this ecosystem, pauses aren't conclusions, they're setups. The next hint, the next silence, or the next sideways comment will reactivate everything instantly. Once a narrative like this exists, it never fully disappears. Now don't Scroll like this was just another rumor you'll forget by tomorrow because moments like this don't disappear, they settle. Was 50 Cent exposing something real? Or was he playing 4D chess with the internet just to see who panics first? Were those alleged chats harmless context or a reminder that power doesn't move on microphones? It moves in private conversations? Say it out loud in the comments. Hit subscribe like you already know hip-hop drama doesn't. Retire, it just changes suits. If you watch this whole breakdown, don't pretend you're neutral, you're invested. And the algorithm already knows it. Share this video with that friend who always says, there's more going on behind the scenes, and then never explains what they mean. Let them explain it now. Because this story wasn't really about screenshots, receipts, or even proof. It was about implication, influence, and how fast suggestion can shake legends. And make no mistake, this isn't the last time a single hint turns into a full-blown firestorm. In this space, whispers move faster than facts. Silence gets interpreted as strategy. And reputations don't get the benefit of patience. One comment can live longer than 1,000 denials. If you want breakdowns that don't play safe, commentary that doesn't bow to status, and scandals dissected without pretending power doesn't exist, you're exactly where you should be. We don't chase confirmation, we track impact.